Okay, so welcome. Megan Taslam and the Thyroid Naturopath. I'm here tonight delivering a masterclass on how to protect your thyroid from the harmful effects of environmental toxins. Now, this is such an important topic. I cannot stress that enough because the nature of our environment is such that these environmental toxins are ubiquitous, which means that they are everywhere. They come through to our beautiful holistic organism through many different channels. And my purpose for tonight, my view for tonight, and what I really love for you to get out of this evening is information and some key pointers so that after tonight's masterclass, you can actually have quite a lot to think about and start looking at all these channels that you cannot see. Often you can't smell them, many times you can, and actually start to really pinpoint and even potentially create a list of all the different channels in which environmental toxins will be coming into your body, right? Because if we're not doing that, they're just going to be stored in our body because our beautiful body actually tries to keep us safe. Just naturally, what it tries to do is, shift any toxins away from our vital organs, into our fat storage, into our bone storage, and away from the vital organs so that we actually survive. So our body is already doing as much as it possibly can do. However, the bucket will overflow at some point, and as we age, our system is less efficient in detoxifying such toxins, for want of a better word, and that's when chronic disease takes effect. Having said that, I'm actually going to be doing a deep dive in specific environmental toxins that affect the thyroid gland. And then I'm going to go beyond the thyroid and talk about other environmental toxins affecting our whole organism. Because as we know, one system doesn't just, work on its merry little own without, being impacted or being affected or communicating with other systems in the body. So, these things don't just go, oh, I'm going to target that organ today. They're kind of like when they're in, they're in. So it's really, really good to have that awareness. So if you're jumping on here now, just let me know that you're here. Say hello. I'd love to know who you are and where you're from. We've got some beautiful new members in the group from the other side of the world. We've got a lovely Canadian and also a local person from Newcastle. So if you're jumping on live tonight or watching the recording, just do a hashtag replay and let me know where you're from. Give me a heart, give me a thumbs up. And I'd love to know, what your biggest take home is after you've actually watched this live training. And then later on in the live training or the live masterclass, I'm actually going to bring in a beautiful couple as guest speakers so that we can do a little bit more dialogue around the number one most important nutrient for us to actually take in our body. And in fact, what led me to actually contact them was the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald on Friday. Front page there, little column there, and then that actually went up to a big article, not a big article, half a page, 2/3 of a page, about PFAS in the Sydney water supply and how it's 140 times the limit of our US counterparts, since a case was won over there of a 20-year-old dying at a very young death of cancer from the toxin PFA. So I'm going to be talking more about water and what other toxins are in water as the number one nutrient. And our beautiful guest speakers are experts in the field, and it's their passion and their purpose, and their sole business is all around spreading the word on purified water. So I'm going to be bringing them in later on in about, say, 40 minutes or so. We've got an hour here today, so grab a cuppa and let's get into it. If you're jumping on, let me know that you're here. All right, so first of all, introduction. I'm going to be talking, I just put my glasses on, excuse me. Okay, so the number one group of environmental toxins that actually impact the thyroid are called endocrine disrupting chemicals, okay? And they have actually been classified as a zone 1 level of evidence by the Lancet. The Lancet is a highly reputable scientific, magazine. And these endocrine disrupting chemicals with that high level of research is something to look at. This is something that, it's like, it's not a low level of research. It's not like we don't know. We know, it has been proven. And in terms of what they do in the body. So this is an umbrella term for a whole host of chemicals. And I'm going to be going through those as well. I'm also going to be talking about other chemicals that aren't actually endocrine disruptors. However, they are teratogenic and carcinogenic, and they play a lot of havoc to a lot of other body systems which are impacted and also communicate with our hormonal system as well. Yeah. Then I'm going to be talking about typical signs and symptoms experience, so that you can just have an awareness and have a think about whether that may apply to you. And the number one thing that you can do starting from now, starting from today, okay? Then I'm going to be going into the deep dive into the thyroid gland and the thyroid function and all of those EDCs, or endocrine disrupting chemicals. If you Google endocrine disrupting chemical, a whole host of chemicals will come up. So I'm going to actually go through each one of them. And more importantly, I'm going to talk about where you can find these in your everyday, day-to-day products that you may be none the wiser. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've had a wake-up call as well. The thing is you only know when you know. And until then, it could be just something that you do, I don't know, every day. And you really don't think about it until you're made aware of it. And with this information, you can then decide whether you want to change that product or switch to something else or not. It's up to you. So awareness is key. Okay, and then I'm going to be talking about other environmental toxins and a deep dive into what they are in particular, and just some really key tips that you can actually start implementing tomorrow that are really simple. What I call the low-hanging fruit, like really, really easy. It's just about, getting it through the family so that everyone does that, and then you're protecting the whole family unit from these environmental toxicants. And I talked about the products, so these are my notes. There's no way I can remember everything. We've got so much to go through. And preventative measures. We're going to be talking about preventative measures. We'll have our beautiful guest speakers, Matt and Jess Tune will be coming in, our beautiful heart-centered speakers that are going to be talking about the number one most important nutrient to put in the body. I'll be talking about beyond your thyroid. I think I've mentioned that. And at the very end, if you stay to the very end, I'm going to be giving you 5 of my hot tips to reduce your level of exposure from today. Okay, so that's it. And then we have something else that's really special in store. Tomorrow, we're going to be putting up a little message in this group, Thyroid Healthy Balance, to see who's interested in grabbing a copy of my vetted companies that I believe are the best in terms of navigating, their consciousness in navigating environmental toxins. And some of these companies I buy direct from, and I have done for some time now. And I've just messaged them saying, I'm just going to put you on my list so that I can give that away to everybody in my Thyroid Healthy Balance group. And one beautiful lady has come back to me and said, can I give them a discount if they decide to purchase from me? And I thought, oh, that was really sweet. You know, I didn't ask for a discount. I'm not getting a discount. And I just thought that was really, really lovely. So watch out in the group tomorrow, because we have a giveaway just to make life easier for you. Because I know when I attended a conference way back in 2018 in Brisbane, it was a 3-day conference that was dedicated to environmental toxins. We had leaders from around the world that were speaking on topics, everything from mold to water contamination to endocrine disrupting chemicals and the different foods and what to do. And I was overwhelmed because I didn't realize things like your tea bag or things like your shoes that you walk around the house in, and I'm going to get into that in nitty-gritty of that so that you can understand, can actually impact your body, not just once off, but if it's something that you're doing every day. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Let me know when you're here. I can see some people here. Who's here? Let me know. Just drop your name in the comments. Just say hello. Let's make this interactive. I can see people watching. All right. So the endocrine disrupting chemicals, well-established research. They actually disrupt the chemicals at the level of the receptor and also for the synthesis of the hormone and the actual message of the hormone. So all levels of that chemical process, because we know that our hormones are our beautiful chemical messengers that travel through our blood to tell, they communicate between our endocrine glands and help regulate our body, help keep us in balance. Okay, so endocrine disrupting chemicals literally disrupt that process. And if we're having too many of those and overwhelming organs such as the liver, well, that's when problems occur. And it might show up in a pathology test, like a liver function test. It might show up there if you've got too many heavy metals, as an example. It might show up in your signs and symptoms. It may show up with your menstrual cycle if you're female. It may show up with your menopausal symptoms if that's the life stage that you're going through. It may show up with a flare of your autoimmune issue. There are so many areas that, we kind of think, oh, what is it? But we generally don't think of environmental toxins. Because here's the thing, if we kind of keep pouring water in the bucket and the bucket overflows, that's where we're going to get the signs and symptoms, because we're not able to empty the bucket fast enough. So emptying the bucket is our beautiful, efficient, organised, highly intelligent organs and within our body systems, and the water is the toxin. Actually, it's not the toxin. That's the number one most important nutrient, but I'm just using this as an analogy, which is kind of odd. I should have used something else. Okay, Coca-Cola is the toxin that's going in the bucket. Yeah. So anyway, you get my picture with that. Okay. All right. So we know that, excuse me, we know that the genes load the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. It used to be thought that if you had a genetic predisposition, that was it. It was preordained that you would actually then acquire that particular disease later on in life. That is absolutely refuted. That is completely untrue. And in fact, gene expression is influenced. It's very subtly influenced by our environment. It's a literal response to our environment. And our environment is everything from our diet, lifestyle, even our mood and behavior, obviously the chemicals and toxins, the exogenous, so everything outside our body, our physical surroundings, the climate, diet, lifestyle, all of that is what is actually termed our environment. Okay, so it's very subtle. Like, these subtle impacts influence the genetic code, the genetic expression. And this is why that term, genes load the gun, the environment pulls the trigger is so apt, because it is completely true. So, having the absolute awareness and really lowering your toxic load on a day-to-day basis, which over time will become habitual. And then within a couple of years' time, you just won't look back, and you'll be reaping the benefits of all your due diligence and hard work at changing your diet and lifestyle and changing and monitoring the environmental hazards, because you've done the homework. So that's my that's my wish for you, and I hope you get this point, because it's so incredibly important. I mean, you think of all the chronic diseases, you think of excuse me, you think of the amount of cancer, around the globe, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, autoimmune diseases, which include thyroid, and all of those things. They are the number one killers. They are the number one killers, not the infectious agents. It's all of these lifestyle habits that actually, and why? It's not just because you're putting on weight. It's because you're putting on weight and your body's shunting all the environmental toxins into the fat and the bone and really trying to protect you. And then next thing, when you go on a weight loss regime, or you go through menopause and your bone starts to break down, what's going to happen with all of those environmental toxins that have been safely deposited away? Well, they're going to come out into your blood supply. They're going to start to damage your organs, damage your tissues, wear your body down, overwhelm your liver, overwhelm your thyroid, overwhelm your brain health, your neuronal network. And this is why all of these chronic diseases tend to pop up in our 6th, 7th, 8th decade of life. Okay, so starting as young as you can is key. And also with the way our modern day era is heading, there are so many environmental toxins that are coming on the market all of the time, which is why it's termed ubiquitous and actually a pandemic, epidemic. So, listen up, ladies and gents, listen up. Okay, so signs and symptoms experienced. I kind of just spoke about that a little bit before. So if you're going through menopause, your menopausal symptoms will be exacerbated. Those hot flushes will be more. Those mood swings will be more. You may have some dizziness as well. You may have some you might feel nauseous, some digestive issues. You might have some fatigue, and we know that that's a huge sign and symptom. The thyroid disease, all aspects of thyroid disease, and autoimmunity as well. Depression is a big one. Headaches are a big one. Mental confusion and just kind of weird nerves, tingling and abnormal reflexes, things like that. Dizziness, as I've said, and just some weird symptoms like rashes, itchy skin, sore throat, feeling a little bit toxic. These are different types of signs and symptoms. Another huge epidemic is the signs and symptoms surrounding young girls going through puberty. If you've got children, or you're within the vicinity of young kids, they're going through puberty at really young ages. Like the earliest of like 8, 9, 10, and they're having really, really painful periods. I've just got a lovely lady who I know, and she's bringing her daughter to see me, who's only in year 8, and pretty much takes a day off school every single month because she's in absolute agony from premenstrual cramping and menstrual cramping. And here's the thing, like we can blame the diet, but I have to say environmental toxins is a big one here, because they're endocrine disrupting chemicals. So we've got all these plastics that are just coming through the waterways, they're coming through our food. They're coming in ways that you are none the wiser, because it's just the done thing, like, your milk out of the milk carton, it's plastic. I I don't know, the BPA that's in the lining of the can if you're having the canned food. So all of these young girls are getting all of these extra microplastics in their system, as we all are. And it's actually theorized that that's why a lot of the young girls are actually going through puberty at a much younger age, because of the estrogenic activity of these plastics and these microplastics. So it's incredibly important to have the awareness, not just for yourself, but also for your children and for anyone that you know, really, because the only way we're going to really get this message out there across the globe. I mean, look, I can't tell everyone, I do my best, but the only way we're going to get this message out is just to have some discussion points around, and just really think about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and what else you can do to help protect yourself and protect your family and help negate all of these debilitating signs and symptoms. So yeah, so puberty, as I mentioned, and thyroid as well, because the thyroid is a gland that's directly impacted by the endocrine disrupting chemicals. Okay, so the importance of raising awareness and taking preventative measures. Well, I'm just going to tell you now, those of you who are here tonight, I'm just going to absolutely applaud you and congratulate you, because the number one thing that you can do to navigate the amount of ubiquitous environmental toxins in our environment is avoidance. It's avoidance. It's not detoxification. It's not going on a fantastic, rigorous dietary regime. It's not going in an infrared sauna. It's not running around the block. All of those things will help, by the way. So add them in. And if you're already doing those, keep them on. However, the number one that's been scientifically studied to help reduce the impact of environmental toxins on your system, to help with your longevity and help prevent cancer and all of these horrible, nasty chronic diseases and hormonal imbalances, is avoidance. And the only way you can avoid something is to be aware of it and to have an understanding of it. Yeah, because I know that when I just went through this journey, I was surprised. I was overwhelmed and shocked. I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much to navigate. And if you try to do it all at once, it is overwhelming, and you'll end up just throwing pretty much everything out probably in your home. So you can't do that. However, it's just about getting that knowledge and understanding what it's actually doing to your body. And then if you wish to just, put your head in the sand, hey, it's a free world. We all have free decisions. But I'm pretty sure that everyone that's here watching the replay or here on this live tonight is not going to do that, because that's why you're here, because you're interested. All right, so what actually happens, actually, I'm going to go straight into this. Where are we with the time? Oh, okay, I need to soldier on. All right, so who's finding this interesting? Give me a thumbs up if you're finding this interesting, and ask any questions along the way, because after this live, I'll do my due diligence to answer all of the questions. Okay, so point number 2, environmental factors that affect the thyroid specifically. Okay, so they enter the body through the gastrointestinal tract, the respiratory tract, so through the air that we breathe, our skin. They impact babies through the placenta barrier, through water, food, and personal products. So think things like this: migration from the packaging of your food. So, for example, the plastic wrap around the cheese, the milk container, the cosmetic products, the plastics and chemicals that actually make the plastic, and then they go into the cosmetic cream, because all of these types of endocrine disrupting chemicals, they are called lipophilic, meaning that they're fat loving. So they are connected to, just through bonds, they're connected to fatty things. So, for example, butter, it'll be connected to the butter. It'll be connected to, the creams, because we've got all our beautiful oils that make up, body care products, as an example. So they connect into the creams, and then transdermally, they'll diffuse in through to the bloodstream there. I understand all of that, being an aromatherapist. And also digestive system, the air that we breathe, so through aerosols, so I'm talking perfumes and household cleaning products. They're a nasty one. They are a real nasty one. You know, all of those kind of sprays and triclosan, that antibacterial soap, nasty business. Do not touch it. Just go and get a beautiful olive oil organic soap. Don't touch the triclosan. Okay. Okay, so they disrupt the thyroid. Oh, and also I need to say the receipts. So those thermal receipts. So if you don't need a receipt, don't get one. Don't get one. You know, if you've got a transaction, you can see it up on your account, and you don't need the receipt. And if you certainly if you don't check off your purchases with the receipt, just don't touch it. You know, because those thermal receipts have BPA, very high levels of bisphenol A, and every time you touch it through the beautiful sweaty glands in the pores of your skin, you know that you sweat a lot through the palms of your hands and through your fingertips and also your soles of your feet. That's where via the surface area, you have more glands than anywhere else in the body, which leads me to the next point. I'm going to jump to this because I don't want to forget it. Shoes. So not wearing any shoes in the house, because shoes bring in microscopic dust particles called particulate matter that come through petrol and exhaust fumes from the roads, and they come through the soles of the shoes into the home. And then when you kick your shoes off at the end of the day and walk around in your bare feet after you've had your beautiful Epsom salt bath, guess what? The heat from the skin is going to zap through those toxins from the particulate matter, that's dust that you cannot see or feel, that's on your floor and into your body. All right. So that kind of leads me to one of my main tips, sneak peek for my list at the end of this training today. Okay. All right. I'm pretty sure you can guess what that tip is. Okay. So the endocrine disrupting chemicals, they disrupt the thyroid receptor. Okay. So we know that our hormones are chemical messengers, lock and key. So the receptor is the lock, the key is the hormone. So they disrupt the receptor so that it's no longer a lock and key. It can't fit. So therefore the hormone can't work. So therefore low thyroid. Okay. Disrupt the expression of the genes that relate to metabolism, synthesis, and transport. So in terms of the thyroid, you know, we've got to produce the thyroids, and then we've got other proteins that help to transport them around and actually metabolize them as well. So that's another area that they disrupt the thyroid. And everything from the pollutants that we breathe through, so PCBs, PBDEs, the BPAs that I mentioned, the perchlorate, the phthalates, the PFAS, which is the forever chemical in the water supply, that's 140 times more in Australian waters compared to our US counterparts. And also through other things that are pretty obvious, like smoking, alcohol, if you're certainly if you're a chronic alcohol user, and through other avenues of your diet as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, because I mentioned, you know, the polychlorate, like the BPAs and the PBDEs and all of those. I just want to explain what they are and where to find them. Okay, so the BPAs are phenols. They're widespread. They're in things like paints, polishes, adhesives, lacquers, varnishes, solvents, smoked meat in your fish products. So hello, smoked salmon. I love smoked salmon. You know, it's really hard to get really clean fish these days. It's so sad. It's really, really hard. I mean, our waters are toxic, unfortunately. But, you know, it's just something to be aware of. This is why we want to have a broad and varied diet. We don't want to get hooked on having the same thing every day, because that's when we overwhelm our system. So smoked meats and fish products. Just want to highlight that, because it is an absolute great source of omega-3 and protein. So there you think, well, what can I eat? Well, I'll get to that. All right, so coating and lining of the cans, that's a big one. Lids, so your takeaway coffee that you may get every day. So the condensation of the hot water from the hot water of the caffeine that actually hits the lid and drips back down into your coffee, dripping in little micro droplets of BPA. So if you're, again, I'm talking about the things that you can actually think about how they apply to you on a day-to-day basis. So if you're getting your 1, 2, or 3 hot beverages in a takeaway cup every day, that to me is a big red flag that you know would be worth changing. So just getting your your glass mug, or just saying, look, don't put the lid on, let me just have that. I mean, that's still got a lining as well. You can actually taste it. Tell me, who here can taste the toxin from the condensation of the lid from some coffee suppliers or tea suppliers? I've tasted it before. So it really brings, mind you, I've got a very, very acute sense of smell and taste. It's my best sense. I can't hear. My hearing's shocking, but I've got a really good sense of taste and smell. So I pick these things up. Okay. Your water supply, so your pipes, bottles, baby bottles, lids, cans, plastic wraps, Glad wrap, like the cling film, terrible. So if you must use it or you don't have an alternative, just make sure it doesn't touch the food. Really, really important. Make sure there's no food contact. I know that it's something that chefs do. They just, wrap all their food up, so the air doesn't get in. But yeah, just really try and look for some alternatives there. Like glass, or you can get some better quality plastic is still way better. You know what I do? I actually recycle a lot of jars, because when you buy things, especially if you buy things in those really big jars, that's where I put all my, grains and lentils and legumes and nuts and seeds, and I just put them all in the big glass containers. So that's what I do. Yeah, and I find that works really, really well. You've got different shapes and you can't really stack them, but hey, I'm not too worried about that. I'd rather know that I'm not getting the environmental toxin in the food. Yeah, because we buy a lot of that in plastic wrap anyway. So your exposure depends on the amount that it's actually been sitting within the actual product. So if you buy the product and it's already in a plastic, clearly there are plastics and plastics. Like, for example, if you go to the organic health food section of any supermarket or health food shop, you'll notice the different quality in the plastic, and some are actually in paper, like paper cardboard, which is so much better, and Tetra Pak as well, in terms of like your almond milks and things like that, compared to plastic. So just be aware of that. These are some small tweak changes. Anything that's being consciously produced and the awareness is there to help mitigate the level of exposure of, the container that harbors the toxin. Any company will generally have a really good alternative. They'll generally pack their product in glass, or like a Tetra Pak, like the cardboard, or even if it is a plastic, it'll be like a thick BPA-free type style plastic. Yeah, so just be aware of that as well. When they say BPA-free, something's got to make it bendy. So there's still a phthalate in there, or BPS or BPF, which are other bisphenols. So it's really, really important to be aware that, it's not just, BPA-free, oh, wow, I'm safe. I mean, what about all the other things that something's got to make the plastic, something's got to make it bend and airtight. So just, I say this with all due respect. We've all just got to sit here and just use our noggin. We really do. We need to think, well, what could it be if it's, could it actually be unsafe? Because all of this scientific research that's coming out, for example, this paper that I got most of this research from today is only in the last 5 years. So imagine what's going to come out in the next 10 years. So just like what I say with everyone, and all of my clients, when there's a big question mark and we really don't know, should we sit and wait until all the evidence is out? Or do we start to make the changes now so that when the evidence comes out, because it will come out, when it comes out, we've already made some fundamental changes and daily habits that have actually impacted our health in a positive level. And we know this through our signs and symptoms, through our vitality, how amazing we feel. Oh, here's Matt and Jess, fantastic. I'm just going to bring them in here now. And I'm so behind the time. I can't believe this time has just flown. Hey, guys, I'll just let them come in. And while they're coming in, I'm just going to move on. So we've got the polybrominated diphenyl ethers, which are flame retardants, and they are contamination in our meat, dairy, fish, animal products. They are literally in the food chain, impacting a lot of our foods. We've also got the PBBs, and then we've got the heavy metals, the lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, nickel. We can do tests, by the way, for all of these things. Matt and Jess are just there. Thanks, Matt and Jess. Welcome. I'll bring you in a moment. We've got the runoff through the water supply of pesticides and herbicides, glyphosate, which I bang on about quite a lot. A lot of my clients know that I talk about glyphosate quite a lot, which is about 50% of the component of Roundup, which is the main chemical spray that's sold by Monsanto across the globe. And also they fund research into genetic modification and all of that. So, you know, there are some big bad companies out there that aren't actually helping us stay well. They're actually providing us with all the sabotaging factors for health and all of the things that lead us to the chronic diseases. So we actually need to stand up for ourselves and do our due diligence. And luckily, we've got some beautiful people to help us around the globe. A lot of natural care practitioners and advocates for health and wellness. So there's information out there, and a lot of scientific research is coming out now. So air pollution, I spoke about particulate matter. We can't get around that unless we go back to horse and cart, and that's clearly not going to happen. So we've worked with what we've got, right? So shoes off at the door. Water contaminants, the EDCs, chlorine, fluoride, polyfluoroalkyl substances, the PFAS, which are the forever chemicals that are in the water supply, 4 parts per trillion in the US, 70 parts per trillion in Australia. So dare I say those laws should change, but in the meantime, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Okay, so antibiotics run off through our water supply, pesticides, herbicides, as I've said. I'm just really going through this because I'm quite surprised that I've still got quite a bit to go. If I do need to do a part 2 of this, I will, because I want you guys to get the information. And certainly if you've got any questions, please shoot them in the comments, let us know. Also, mold. Mold is another environmental toxin that affects many homes on the eastern the eastern coast of Australia. About 90% of homes are impacted. So if you have the genetic predisposition, and this is the environment that has pulled your trigger, then you can actually be impacted by that, with a lot of digestive issues to start with, nauseousness, itchy, sore throat, dizziness, impacting your thyroid as well, and a lot of other neurological symptoms too. Okay, and I'm going to go through the household products. So we've got things like your personal care products, like cosmetics, hair dyes. Hello, I don't dye my hair. And I don't know, it's up to you. Just have a look at what's in it. Ask your hairdresser. See if you can get some information. Toothpaste, skincare products. Your dental floss actually has PFAS. So there are other alternatives out there. So read the labels, see what else you can get. If you're flossing every day, which is great for your teeth and the health of your gums, maybe choose a different dental floss. That's one that I learned recently, by the way. So, I'm still picking up things in my household that I'm having to think about swapping out. Yeah. So, we can't live in a bubble. This is just the way of the world. This is the modern day era. And unfortunately, our body has not had the time for our evolution. We haven't had the time to evolve for our genetic coding to understand and be able to cope with the overwhelming nature of these environmental toxins, which is why we need some support and some help. So at this point, I'm going to bring in Jess and Matt. Hi, Jess and Matt. Can you switch your camera on? Oh, yeah, here they are. And unmute yourself. Welcome, welcome. So glad to see you guys. You guys are looking fabulous.
Thank you. It's so good to be here tonight.
Thank you for having us. Oh, you're welcome. I met Jess and Matt about 8 months ago, and they are huge advocates for clean, pure, potentized water that's potentized in terms of being potent for your health. Okay. And they have actually created and dedicated their whole life to this, and they've actually that your whole business is surrounding this as well, isn't it? This is what you live and breathe and drink.
Yes, absolutely it is.
Yeah, we've been in the health industry for 22 years, between us 40 years collectively, and everything that we've learned along the way has led us to where we are now, and encompassing what you're talking about tonight, like what can we do? How can we be proactive and really look after our health, in this world that we live in right now, which we're being bombarded with so many things.
Absolutely bombarded, kind of like machine sprayed with everything. And this is why I really wanted to get you guys on, because, the number one most important nutrient is water. You can be taking any elaborate array of supplements. You can have the healthiest diet. You can have any, fad regime. You can go and see the top naturopath in the world. But if you haven't looked at your water, you're already on your back foot in terms of protecting yourself against chronic disease, helping the health of your thyroid, specifically thyroid, because I'm talking about thyroid, but also protecting yourself from all the other chronic diseases such as cancer, metabolic syndrome, heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune diseases, because there's no doubt about it, they are on the rise. They're not actually decreasing, because the amount of ubiquitous environmental toxins is increasing. So if we need water, if we actually need water as our number one nutrient, so we can't survive one day, 12 hours, 24 hours.
48 hours under load would be your max with water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's, short span of time. Yeah. So that is the number one thing. And the reason I wanted to speak to Matt and Jess specifically, because I actually got a Kangen water unit about this time last year. Actually, it was a little bit earlier than this time last year. I absolutely love it. And I feel like every time I drink water from there, I just know that I'm looking after my body. I know that I'm providing my body with antioxidants that aren't from a supplement bottle, and all of the other benefits that come with that. Because on the market, there are a lot of purification systems, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I had one in Sydney, which screened out the chlorine and a lot of heavy metals, and I could absolutely taste the difference. It was fantastic. I had that for about 5 years. I had a Zazen water filter system, like the osmotic one, in my clinic. And, and I did all of those things, which is great. When I moved, I thought, okay, I need to get a new water filter system. Purification system. So I took my time in researching, and I'm just telling you my story because I wanted to take my time, because I wanted to get the best one. I wanted to get the best one because there are so many out there. And for me, this is the one I advocate. This is the one that I recommend, and Matt and Jess do too. So tell the audience here tonight and those watching the replay tomorrow, tell us the actual difference with the Kangen water unit in terms of, so we know it's a purification system, but in terms of it actually acting as a potent antioxidant for our body.
Yeah. There's a lot in that little intro. We see it really is super important to get the best water in your body for sure. And Yeah, the key point of difference with the Kangen machine is on top of filtering the water, it's actually harnessing the most available element in the universe, hydrogen, and putting it to work in your body.
Absolutely. That's the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, you know, like with hydrogen, you know, we need that to help quench all the free radicals. So the free radicals in our body, otherwise I call it the rust in our body. And no matter how healthy you are, everybody is producing rust because every single cell needs to detoxify and undergoes metabolic processes. So just through that microscopic process, so that we can actually do the things we do, think the way we do, and sleep, and all those biochemical reactions, there's waste matter. So that throws up in our body as an oxidant, or you know, and they need to be quenched. And of course, our body, you know, probably way back, like, I don't know, in the Paleolithic times, now our body was probably pretty efficient because there probably wasn't a single environmental toxin around the globe way back then. So our beautiful liver just went, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's just do this and do that, and then we were just glowing. We were amazing. However, these days we've got like the machine gun spray. I'm using that analogy because that's essentially how many environmental toxins, even this EMF coming through this computer screen, like, you know, I've got the light coming down here, I've got it all happening. And that's just our modern day life. And we have not had time to evolve. So what are we going to do about it?
No, that's exactly right. But there is the great thing is there is a lot we can do about it. And through the power of the Kangen water machine, we can address a lot of that. And you know, I was reflecting on my career in firefighting as you're doing your intro and through your presentation about how many times in the decade I've been exposed to a Class A foam or a Pro-Band treated set of overalls or Jet A1. So yeah, it's unavoidable, you know, how many times we're going to get exposed to all these environmental toxins. But yes, there is plenty we can do. We can treat our water. We can put the best possible water we can in our bodies and give ourselves the best chance of not rusting to death.
Absolutely. And you know, just on that, like, that's clearly you're exposed to those really harsh chemicals as a firefighter, and you know, not everyone is a firefighter. However, I urge everyone watching this tonight to really think about your industry and think about what are your environmental toxins within your environment. And certainly if you'd like to discuss that and get in touch, you know, just write environmental toxins, or just toxins if you like, and we can actually get on a call and have a chat through that, just so that I can help you to navigate what is imminent in and around your environment, because we all live in different environments. You know, of course, we've got the air we breathe, and you know, we've got the acid rain falling on us, unfortunately, these days, and you know, we've got you know, the plastic. You know, if ever who here has forgotten to take their water, like their water in their nice glass container, and then, you know, you're just so thirsty and you've got to get that plastic rubbish. Oh, I really beat myself up when that happens, because it's like, what do? Do I die of thirst, or do I get the stuff with all the microplastics and hormone disruptors?
Yeah,
you know?
Sometimes it's a hard choice, isn't it?
Exactly. Once we create these really beautiful habits, and certainly if we've got the water filter, a purification system such as the Kangen, that's when we can house our water correctly. We can drink out of glass. We can ship it with us wherever we go. You know, everything from making our beautiful favorite cup of tea in the morning to washing our vegetables and getting rid of any pesticide matter, because you can set a pH so that you can actually get rid of pesticide residue, which is awesome. So, you know, a lot of my clients know that through discussion, it's not always ideal to get organic. And in fact, sometimes organic produce is actually wilted. So you don't want to be getting organic because it's in that case because it's lost its vitality. So, you know, we get conventional, and you want to be able to get rid of all that pesticide residue. And this is just one example. There are so many examples of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We use it a lot for removing pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, because tap water doesn't wash that off, and
No.
it's designed to be resistant to it. It's oil-based. So the natural degreaser is just a push of a button and you have that on tap. And as you were talking about before, like our products that we use daily that we might want to start swapping out. So there's a button on the machine as well called Beauty Water, and it's the same pH as our skin. So we can literally bottle this 6.0 water and we use it as a spray on our face as a toner, and it helps your skin stay tight and, you know, really smooth and really hydrated. And the 2.5 water as well, like you can use that as mouthwash. So there's so many things that with one product in your house, there's actually over 60 uses that you can put it to work in your home. And so it really is an amazing low toxin environment kickstarter. Like it allows you to do a huge amount of
and do away with a lot of sources of environmental toxins and pollution.
And a lot of products, so even household products, there are, of course, you know, there are some great low tox products out there, but you can actually set the pH of the water so that becomes your clean
slop
product.
cleaner and laundry liquid and dishwasher and all of the things. Yeah,
Which
we
is
haven't
amazing.
we haven't bought benchtop cleaners or surface cleaners or anything for 4 years now. So it's obviously the toxic side of it you're eliminating from your house, but it's also the plastic waste you're eliminating from the environment as well. So, you know, we've got both avenues of that. It's really, really exciting to see people coming on board with this.
It's so amazing. So, and then you could also just get a little bit flamboyant and add a couple of essential oils if you wanted that beautiful aroma.
Add some grapefruit, or some lemon or orange essential oil, and you can flavor it. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, so here's the thing, like, and you actually did a costing as well. You worked it out to be, was it 70 cents a day?
Yeah, the machines are built to last 25 plus years, and they're actually still servicing machines that are 30 years older. Mr. Oshiro, the founder of Enagix, he's 83 now, and Enagix about to turn 50, and he's still using his original machines. So they are built to last. It's a great investment for life and supports your whole family. And it works out to be 70 cents a day on what you're drinking, and you're drinking the most like therapeutic, medical grade therapeutic levels of hydrogen in your drinking water that you can, you know, just carry it around with you and you just drink it throughout the day. You can't buy this in shops because hydrogen doesn't last. Like it's living, it's literally living water. So having it on tap at home and then knowing that you're able to support your health, slow down disease, slow down dysfunction. You know, I've got my own stories with thyroid, and I've got a lot of testimonies with what we've seen this water do with people. And so it's just exciting to see it in people's homes.
That's fantastic. Because so just for the viewers, like it doesn't actually put anything external. It just kind of recalibrates the water structure, which potentizes the hydrogen. So we know H2O is the water molecule, so it kind of potentizes it. And I remember your description of that, Matt, and I'm just going to say it because I'm just going to check that, you know, I understand that correctly. If you imagine you've got 2 decks of cards, you've got a red deck of, this is Matt's, by the way, not mine. You've got a red deck of cards and you've got a black deck of cards, and you shuffle them together. So when the water goes through the Kangen purification process, the waste product or the acidic matter, the heavy metals and the toxicants all come through, and they are like the red deck of cards. And then the potentized H plus oxygenated water is the black deck of cards. How did I go?
It's a water shuffler.
It's a water shuffler. And then if you got those 2 barrels and put them back in together, it would return to the original
straight back into the same
non-purified
tap water that you had.
So you're literally straining the water. You're straining.
You're using a firm DC current over titanium plates that are treated with platinum to last forever, and that just, you know, eases the oxygen to one side and attracts the hydrogen to the other side. Yeah, it's so simple. No moving parts. It's just such a simple idea, and yeah, does it for a lifetime, and it brings so many benefits to your health.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if lovely audience here tonight, if you're interested in learning more about that, just write Kangen water, and then we can get in touch with you and provide you with whatever questions you have, any information for you to actually then go and do your own research. Like, we're not here to sell anything. This is what we use. I use it for my health, and I have found huge benefits. I haven't been sick for a long time. I can't remember the last time I've been sick. Like, I haven't been sick in the last year, but I also haven't been sick since about February 2020. Like, I don't know. I think it's moving out of Sydney. less particulate matter. But I have not been sick. But I certainly haven't been sick in the last year. And I mean, it has to have something to do with the water, surely. Or maybe it's my fur babies. I do believe that, the cat purr is very therapeutic. As well.
All of the things. We do know
a lot of things. It's a lot of things.
And the water does support immune health. And I mean, we could talk for hours about how the water actually goes into the cell and what it does inside the body, but that might be another call.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's just start with the basics. But absolutely, we are here to spread the message, spread the word out there, the ripple effect across the globe. So especially, for everyone here, but also your family members, anyone that that, if you've listened to this masterclass today and you're thinking of your family and your friends, and you're thinking of different signs and symptoms that they may be suffering from, certainly feel free to invite them into the group, feel free to connect them with me. And certainly if you are having tap water and you're smelling the chlorine, that's just one toxin. Yeah. And what was in the Sydney Morning Herald the other day, the PFAS, the forever chemicals, that is another group of toxins. Then we've got all the heavy metals that come through your pipes. We've got the microplastics. We've got all the endocrine disrupting chemicals. We've got the antibiotics that are run off and in our water system and in the groundwater. Also, the PFAS are in groundwater and well water. There was a scientific paper in the States that actually did a lot of water testing, and the PFAS, which are the forever chemicals, is in a lot of groundwater, which is really scary when it gets to groundwater level. And the other thing is, if you're a little bit unsure and you're kind of, but I've had water all my life, and I just have the water, and you don't really want to take that next step, or you want a little bit more evidence, you can actually get your water tested. So get in touch with me, type testing, and I can get you in touch with, I'm an account holder with Great Plains Laboratories. They actually do water testing and they'll give you a report of all the toxins that are in your water that comes from your tap. And it's not too expensive. I think it's a couple of $100. So you can actually get that done as well. And then you can get your Kangen water filter. Have you guys done that, by the way?
The water testing?
Yeah. Have you actually done the testing?
We indirectly did, because I used to work for the Shire where we lived, and I managed potable water for public swimming pools. So we did whole spectrum water testing on the potable tank, that main supply water. So we knew exactly what was going in.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. Yeah. So I think it would probably be different across the globe, different proportions.
Oh, it's different across Australia. It's different across the state of Victoria. There's some places in Australia you just wouldn't even consider, especially up in the north, even drinking the water that comes out of the main supply.
Yeah, and I know that over in Western Australia they have a problem with copper toxicity, because a lot of the piping over there is copper. So it very much depends on what's in the pipe, like what the pipe is made from, how old are the pipes, what's put in the water on a chemical level. There are so many things to consider. So screen it all out.
Yeah. But you made a good point before on chloramines and smelling the chlorine out of your tap water. Imagine actually showering in that water, not just drinking that water.
Yeah.
We have a solution to remove that as well.
Yes. So the Enagic, which Matt mentioned before, is the actual name of this company. So Enagic, if anyone would like to look that up. And they have a couple of products. And yes, you can actually have something that's plumbed into your shower or bath to actually screen out the chlorine, so that you're actually not swimming in a chlorinated pool when you have a bath.
Yeah. And exposing yourself to all those toxic trichloramines, dichloramines.
Breathing it in as well, breathing in the steam of the trichloramines. And they're about to release the MGuard, which is the EMF device as well. So we can protect ourselves from
that's interesting.
From the EMF frequencies buzzing around everywhere.
An invisible microwave that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. With 5G and there'll be 10G next. Who knows? It's just going to keep going. So protecting us is so important. Just getting back to the chlorine, I remember way back, like chlorine, like when you have a hot shower and you come out and you're feeling really sleepy and a bit kind of fuzzy because you've just had a nice hot shower. That's actually the toxic effects of the chlorine. So, because the heat actually makes the chlorine volatile, and then that volatility, it's kind of like an agitation of the chemical, and then when you breathe it in, it actually is a toxic stew to your cells. So
absolutely.
It's huge. And we find even with like people with eczema and psoriasis and skin rashes and things, it helps with that. But the lungs, like asthma and any breathing respiratory issues, getting rid of the chlorine out of the shower water, steam,
that would be number one.
Impact. Massive impact. So so much to say.
So much to talk about. All right, so thank you. I think that's, there's so much, as you mentioned, we can talk about this. We can really go really deep, and maybe on another occasion we can go deep into what's actually going on in the matrix of the cell. That could be really good, just to get into the nitty-gritty mechanics of the ribosomes and the machinery. We've got little machines in our microscopic cells all through our body. So
I love the lipid bilayer. Let's talk about the lipid bilayer, please.
Oh yes, the phospholipid bilayer, absolutely. Yeah. So especially in regards to endocrine disrupting chemicals and how our hormonal messengers connect, and the whole communication network in our body, and how we want to enhance that. We don't want to hinder that.
Yeah.
And then from my angle, how that lends itself to disease states. So that's an interesting topic. Yeah. So part 2 coming. So just on that, just conscious of the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give so tomorrow, stay tuned in this group, because I'm going to be giving away a PDF of all my vetted products, and clearly the Kangen water will be on there as well. Products that are from beautiful companies that are very conscious in the making of their products. If you're wanting some help there, everything from deodorants to skin creams and the lot. And as promised, I just wanted to talk about, sorry, I didn't get to that. I'm going to have to do another actual live training. But as promised, 5 tips to reduce your level of exposure of environmental toxins. So number 1, take your shoes off at the door. Easy one. Get that ingrained habit with your kids and your whole family. Take the shoes off at the door, because when you're doing that, you're not bringing that particulate matter and all those environmental toxins from the road, from the sideworks, the glyphosate that's on all the sporting fields, and all of that. You're actually preventing that from coming into the home, so that and preventing yourself from absorbing that through the soles of your feet, where we have more distribution of sweat glands in concentration than anywhere else in the body. So that's really important. Number 2, have a look at your water quality. We've just spoken about it for about a good 25 minutes. So number 1 nutrient in your body, have a look at what you're doing for the water in your body that you're drinking, and then potentially next step down the track would be what you're bathing in, but certainly in the beginning, what you're actually drinking. Number 3, just start small, and anything that you're actually running out of in your home, have a look at, instead of just thinking, oh, well, I've always got this brand, I'm just going to replace it with that brand. Just have a look at it and think, I wonder what alternatives are out there. Okay, so everything from your toothpaste to your dental floss to your deodorant to your skin cream to your Teflon pan, because you know those non-stick pans are horrendous because they have all of those endocrine disrupting chemicals, and they come off the Teflon into the food that you're cooking on the stove. So heat actually exacerbates the removal of the chemicals from the container or apparatus into the food. Okay, so just have a look within your household, you know, what you're actually eating, and just think about when, you know, I mean, you may not want to just be drastic, or you may want to be drastic, it's up to you, but you may not want to throw everything out and start from scratch, because it's going to, as I mentioned, it's going to be very overwhelming. However, just things that start to run out, rather than just replacing them and putting them on your normal shopping list, for example, your shampoo and conditioner even, and lots of other things. Just have a think about, what can you buy that has been made consciously to help protect you from environmental toxins, so that you can start to implement those changes incrementally, and then over the next couple of years, you'll see that you've changed your whole household. So that would be the way to go, just to prevent overwhelm. Number 4, just one key thing in the kitchen: cling film, because it's a very soft plastic, and you know, very, very it's very bendy. So any plastic that is really bendy has more toxins. So just without going into all the weird chemical names, just know the bendier the plastic, the worse it is. So cling film is one of the worst. If you have to use it, make sure it doesn't touch the food. Make sure it's over the plate, it doesn't touch the food, but it's not good stuff. And, you know, you can replace it with beeswax. You can replace it with grease-proof paper. You can just put a crockery lid on the top. That's not airtight. You can use a glass container. So there are lots of different avenues there. And number 5 is cook more from scratch rather than from packaged food. Yeah, so this is my passionate area in life, is to cook whole earth cuisine. Like as you are all aware, I'm sure, I'm writing a cookbook, and I'm very passionate about cooking from Mother Earth cuisine, whole foods. So, you know, cook more from scratch rather than from a packet. So just that alone, you're going to be reducing your exposure to all the microplastics, the plastics, and all of those other endocrine disrupting chemicals. So I hope you found this valuable tonight. Thank you so much, Matt and Jess, for coming on and explaining everything about the Kangen water. And you know, it's been so beautiful to see you guys. You guys are glowing, you're radiant. Clearly this Kangen water is giving you amazing health, as it is me now. And this is what we wish for everyone across the globe. So if you have any questions, just type Kangen and we can set up a chat. You can go deep dive with Matt and Jess, or myself, or all of us, and we can help to answer your questions. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you again on the next masterclass, or maybe before. So that's it from me. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And you know, if you're watching the replay, just do a hashtag replay, pop any questions. If you'd like to chat, just type chat, and we can you know, connect over a 15-minute call just to help you navigate what's going on in your life in terms of environmental toxins, wellness, how you're going to get from A to B and support the longevity for your health forever. forever and a day, so that you can actually attain that health abundance that we are all here and that we all deserve. All right, that's it from me. Bye for now.